Venezuelan opposition leader Leopoldo López. Good to have you back. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Oh, thank you very much, Jim. Thank you.
You, of course, have been opposing the Venezuelan regime for many years, and you've spent time in prison. More recently, after you publicly supported the U.S. military operation that led to Nicolas Maduro's arrest, you say that regime authorities took over your home in Caracas, even killed your dogs. Can you tell us what you experienced?
Well, it's not that I said, it's what we lived. So after I supported the deployment of the U.S. Navy to remove Maduro, this is back in December, they went into my house, the only property I have in Venezuela, and they stole absolutely everything. This is the house where I spent a year and a half in house arrest after spending 4 years in solitary confinement. It's the house where my kids grew up. And they stole everything. They tore the house down completely, and they killed the dogs. And last week, they reinaugurated the house as a healthcare for the elderly. So it's very clear, the message in Venezuela that there is no rule of law. And this is one case of thousands of cases of expropriations that have taken place in Venezuela. This has been going on for years, and now it's happening under Delcy Rodriguez. This is not a Maduro decision. This was Delcy Rodriguez that decided to do this, to expropriate, to destroy, kill the dogs, and then basically to try to cover this with what they appear to present as a social program.
President Trump, as you know, has claimed that since he removed Maduro, that many political prisoners have been released and that Venezuela is on the path to something better than Maduro, something, even democratic here. Has the U.S. let down the Venezuelan opposition?
Well, I think we need to be very clear. We are much better off than what we were before the capture of Maduro. This is something that we Venezuelans recognize, and we are grateful for the commitment of the U.S. of President Trump to remove Nicolas Maduro. Is the country better off? Yes, Maduro is no longer there. Maduro is facing justice. That is very positive. Are the people in Venezuela already seeing the benefits of having removed Maduro in their daily lives? No. There is a lot of hardships that the Venezuelan people are continuing to go through every day. There is no electricity, no running water. The inflation is still taking the people's possibility to buy anything. So there's still the economic recovery of Venezuela has not been felt by the Venezuelan people. However, there is an economic opening. Oil companies are opening their efforts in Venezuela. Today, they sign a contract with Shell. Before that, with other oil companies. And we think that that is positive. It's positive that U.S. companies, that serious companies are going into Venezuela. However, what we expect is that the transition takes place in Venezuela, which means that the Venezuelan people have a say in our future. And that can only happen if there are elections. And we understand that before the elections take place, there needs to be different things that happen. There is the electoral board needs to be designated, and once it's designated, they need to call for an election, and that will take some time. But that needs to start now, and it's very important that the commitment of the U.S. to a full democratic transition, where the Venezuelan people have a say through an election, through their vote, happens, and it happens in the best period of time.
In your latest piece, you wrote, the person now running Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, did not arrive from outside the regime. She helped it. Are you saying that she is, in effect, a continuation of the Maduro regime?
Well, of course, she's a continuation. She is the vice president of Nicolas Maduro. She has been working with Maduro ever since he assumed power. And before that, she was working with Chavez. So the people running the country today are the same people that were running the country under Maduro. But there is a huge difference. And I think that this is very important for everyone to understand. There is a very heavy influence on the U.S. now, and we believe that that is positive. And before that, the influence came from Iran, from China, from Russia, from Cuba, from the narcos of Mexico, of Colombia. So Venezuela has been under international tutelage for some time now. Now it's the United States that has a very important presence and has a lot to say about the future of Venezuela. And what we expect is that Venezuela can become fully democratic, that there can be a full recognition of the rule of law, and that can bring prosperity. The Venezuelan people won't feel the prosperity, the benefits of the change happening until there is rule of law, respect for the rights of the people, and that is not happening, as we have seen in different cases. There are still almost 500 political prisoners. There has been released. We need to recognize more than 1,000 prisoners have been released, but there are still more than 500 prisoners today. There's no excuse for that.
Okay.
Absolutely no excuse for having political prisoners today in Venezuela.
So let me ask you this, because as you know, President Trump has said frequently the U.S. is making a lot of money off of oil in Venezuela. Is it your view that the U.S. is taking profits on Venezuela oil that should be going directly to the people of Venezuela?
No, I couldn't say that. But I think that there should be clarity on what the income to Venezuela from the proceeds of the sale of oil. I think it's positive that the money that is coming from the oil benefits, it's not going directly to the Venezuelan regime because they have a history of stealing everything. The massive corruption of the Maduro regime was in place. So for more than a decade, the country collapsed and all of that money was being stolen. However, there is no clarity in how much has gone into Venezuela. There is no clarity how much oil has been sold, at what price, and where are those funds. And I think that it's very important that there is transparency on this, that there is accountability on the fiscal income that the Venezuelan people should be knowledgeable of.
Leopoldo López, we appreciate you coming back on the program.
Thank you very much, Jim. Thank you and your audience.